First, I'm going to talk about something brand new that we just released last week in the gathering, which is the Gathering Wind Symphony and Choir. You guys might have seen that online or on the Gathering website. Auditions are now open for all of our youth participants. If you need a gathering refresher, or maybe you've been there before, each gathering ends with a worship service on the last morning. And our youth have the opportunity to be part of this worship service by either playing their instrument or singing with the gathering choir. What this means for a lot of our youth, people sometimes worry about like, oh, I'm going to miss a session or I'm going to miss something really important. Being in the Gathering Wind Symphony and Choir does not affect any of our gathering planning. Rehearsals are held for about an hour and a half. Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday of the gathering. So they act as like that last session before dinner. So you don't miss dinner together. You can still go to mass events together and still hang out. And it's going to be in the Hilton Hotel. So if you remember the map of our gathering complex, the Hilton and the Marriott are connected to the GRB. So you don't have to go very far for practice. You just have to walk across the Skyway right into the Hilton, and that's where they're going to be. The other question we kind of get for doing rehearsals is, what do I do with my instrument? If you're a piccolo player, that's great. It's really small. You don't have much to carry. For those who like to play the tuba, which I know we have a number of people, you're like, I do not want to haul this downtown every single day. Our worship team has actually decided the worship where you're going to rehearsal or a room next to it is going to be a locked room. So you can bring your tuba, bring your piccolo, and have it locked away for the entirety of the gathering once you get downtown. So you'll only have to travel with it one time downtown. And then on the final day, you guys have rehearsed for 3 days. There will be one final dress rehearsal on Wednesday morning before the worship service. And that will be at Minute Maid Park. For those who have youth that are going to be in the Galleria area, we're going to work with you guys on getting you shuttled downtown at the appropriate times. So don't think that just because you're at the Galleria doesn't mean you can't participate in this. All youth are encouraged, and we do have a list of all those instruments. I will not rattle them off. We do have a list of the instruments for gathering participants to, if they play those certain ones, so that they can submit their auditions. One thing I haven't mentioned is that the audition is due online by April 6th. So that's just over a month, and we're doing only online auditions this time. So if you guys go through the steps of the audition process on the Gathering website, you'll see there's lots of information of what they're requiring for those auditions. So if you have musically gifted youth in your congregation, please, please, please share that with them. Encourage them to audition. We have some really great directors, Dr. Rich Fishard and Kurt Von Kampen, doing Wind Symphony and Choir, and they are just awesome, super talented guys, and would be fabulous to work with. It's a great opportunity for our youth. Just remember, April 6th. I feel like every Gathering Live, we just put more dates on your calendar. So
no, right? There's a lot of dates to remember. Less dates as we move forward in time, right?
Yes.
But they become more urgent the closer we get to the gathering, right? So we do want to, make sure that you're getting that information out to your students now, so they have time to look over all the audition materials and practice and make sure they're putting their best foot forward. As a youth leader, I had a young person who got to play the trumpet in the Wind Symphony. It was an amazing opportunity, both for him and for our group to have a really high level of pride to have a student who was there. So would really encourage adult leaders, and maybe you don't have it in your group, other adult leaders, maybe make sure that they're putting it out to their groups as well. We'd love to see some great audition tapes, and we don't get to see them. That's, yeah.
We get the final product, which is, I think, even better.
Dr. McCammon to have lots of that great material for them to be looking at and to be able to do that. So fantastic. So next kind of big thing that we want to remind you of, and maybe we've talked about this before, maybe it's been a few months since we've talked about this, but you, adult leaders, we are so excited to support you, and not just the young people who are with you. We love them too, and the whole thing is about them. But we do also have some special supports that are just for the adult leaders who are coming to the gathering. We want to remind you of those. So as you're doing your planning, as you're thinking about things that you want to include over the course of your days, that you're not just thinking about what your young people are doing, but what you're doing and how we can help engage and support you as adult leaders. We know so many of you are coming and have do youth ministry in the 3 years in between gatherings, or maybe you're coming to the gathering and this is your very first youth event and you love it. We hope you love it and want to do more of it as you go forward. So a couple of things to keep in mind. The first one is really important as you think about the time you're going to need to come to registration. Yes, we need you to come to registration. We need you to make sure that if you haven't paid your full amount, that you're bringing your check, that you're giving yourself a lot of time. Now, when we talk about registration, we said, hey, you don't need to bring all of your adult leaders. You don't need to bring your youth down, your youth participants down. And that's true. But we do want our PAL or one adult leader to go through that registration. And then as a part of that, to go to orientation. Orientation is it works on kind of a continuous schedule. They'll keep happening throughout registration. So hopefully you won't have to wait too long to get into one of those. And there'll be 2 tracks. One of those tracks will be, hey, this is your 10th gathering. You've done this business before, but let's tell you the things that are going to be unique about this particular gathering. So it may be the material that you're going to need to know about that will happen in a mass event on one of the days of the gathering. Or it might be, hey, just a reminder, it's 6 million degrees in Texas and we need you to keep your kids hydrated, right? Things are going to be unique to this event. Maybe hydration is probably not unique to this event. We had to do the same thing in New Orleans, but and then there is an orientation that is for people who have never done this before, and it's going to walk you through every step. It's going to give you all the time that you need to ask your questions. So if you've gotten there and all of a sudden you remember something you don't know, or you just don't know what you don't know, that orientation is going to take a little bit longer, but it's also going to walk that new leader all the way through it. So make sure you're giving yourself time for orientation. And then during the program, we do want you to think about a couple of areas that are going to be really helpful for you. One is going to be adult leader sessions. We're going to have sessions not just for youth, but just specifically for adults. For adults, to help engage you as a youth leader, we're going to have something called affinity groups, which we started last cycle, which worked really well, which is we're going to gather you around for discussion over commonalities. So at the 19 gathering, we had affinity groups over this is my very first youth event, and I do ministry in an urban setting, or I do ministry next to a military base, and how do those things impact how you do youth ministry, and give you a chance to talk to other youth leaders and talk about best practices in those kinds of ways and how that works. So you're going to have sessions, you're going to have affinity groups, you're also going to have a rest area. I saw somebody on a Facebook page be like, as long as I have a place to nap, you do in fact have a place to nap. It's called the adult rest area, and it's a social spot that's just for adults, and it's low key and it's going to be quiet, but it's also going to have some places where we're going to pour back into you and care for you and encourage you. So in that moment where you just need to take 10 minutes of decompression time that is not surrounded by a teen asking you for either a charger or a piece of food, that is what that adult rest area is for. So we're excited to make sure to offer those. We want to make sure that you have those on your radar.
Juliana, could you just remind us one more time about the timing of orientation?
I'm not sure.
It just happens after registration or during registration,
yeah,
correct?
So when registration is open, so anytime registration is open, we will have orientations going on. Now, orientation, like I said, the quick orientation doesn't take particularly long. I want to say that it's around 15 minutes. The longer orientation is about a half an hour, I believe. And so they'll keep happening over and over again. I don't think we have a specific schedule on that. We'll put that out as we get closer, just as we kind of finalize what some of that space and the order we want you to do those in. But we want to make sure that you're not just setting aside time to run in, grab your backpacks and rush out, right? That you're making sure you're giving yourself enough time in that pattern to register and to go to orientation on that first day.
Absolutely. And I have stopped by that adult leader rest area and it is very nice. So definitely take everybody up on that, get those 10-minute power naps in. One other thing that is really great about
I always am afraid I'm going to fall asleep and not wake up.
Nobody's going to wake you up. You got to put a sign on yourself that it says, if I'm not awake by 1:30, I need to be woken up. We'll accommodate you in the adult leader rest area.
Leaders are still on top of things. And not at all sleep deprived during this time.
Yes, I see Jeremiah asked if more than one adult leader can attend orientation. Absolutely. Bring as many of your adult leaders as you see necessary for your group. It's just like Juliana was saying, it's a great way to get information, to learn what you don't know, especially if you don't know what you don't know. So please bring your adult leaders to the orientation along with you. Moving on, in the last couple of lives, you guys have heard us mention the important and the ease of utilizing LCEF's debit cards at the gathering. If you've been to the gathering before and you've utilized these LCEF debit cards, you might remember the LCEF Bank located in the convention center. This gathering, LCEF will still be there in the convention center, but you need to know that they are not going to have cash on site at the gathering. So if you're used to utilizing them to get that last minute $10 to get lunch, you're going to have to prepare either to travel with cash, or you're going to need to locate your nearest ATM or your bank in Houston. We also want to remind you, because we're saying cash a lot and it can get kind of confusing. The GRB.
There it is. Where can I use cash and where can I not get cash? And
I'm so glad you asked, Juliana. So the GRB will accept cash payments. At this moment in time, we are telling you that the GRB will accept cash. Minute Maid Park is a cashless venue. You will need a card, a debit card, a credit card. This is a great way for LCEF to come in and help with that. If you have not taken a look at them or connected with LCEF about these debit cards, you have until May 2nd. But as a lot of things that you've heard from the gathering office, the sooner you can get that stuff done, the better. It helps us out, helps LCEF out. And if you have questions about that, you need to connect with LCEF. If you call the gathering office, we will tell you to call LCEF. So they have been a great partner in helping us and making gathering planning a whole lot easier. So please, we encourage you. I know that we've had a number of people in the comments say like they loved it, they've done it before, they're going to do it again. So please take those people's advice and connect with LCEF.
Yeah.
So see some people asking about those food trucks too, Julian, about using credit cards.
Somebody says GRB. What is that? It's the George R. Brown Convention Center. Right? So we're going to use a lot of terms. So please don't be embarrassed if you hear a word and you're just like, I don't even know what that is, right? So the GRB is what we call the George R. Brown Convention Center because it's hard to say George R. Brown Convention Center. And the George R. Brown Convention Center is a part of what we call the Gathering Complex, which includes both the Convention Center and the two hotels that are connected to it. And I want to say Hilton and Marriott, and now I'm terrified that that's wrong. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes.
I got it. It's good. And so do you, right? So, and so people are going to ask. I see that about the food trucks, right? Food trucks should take debit cards.
Yep.
So those are obviously like independent. So I can't guarantee that any food trucks, but yeah, they should function just like normal food trucks. And we have such a great, we're going to be hearing more. So hopefully you will hear more and we will put out more information about the comprehensive food plan that's going to happen. We're getting really close to being able to release some of that information. So I would expect here relatively soon, some of the groups are going to start getting information about the different kinds of places. We're going to have some where you're going to be able to pay for prepay, places that are going to be open food court style. We're going to have food trucks. I know it's a little strange for us to be talking about Minute Maid as a food option, but Minute Maid is a food option both because it's close. It's really close by to the convention center. And we are in the season of the sport that happens in that particular venue. And so there's actually more food options that are available there than what typically we would see in, say, a sports venue where it's a little bit further away and they're out of season, so they're not necessarily open. So that's why we are talking more about food at Minute Maid than maybe you've heard in gatherings past.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify for Anna, you did hear correctly. LCEF Bank will not have cash on site at the gathering. You will have to go to your own bank or ATM or be prepared to travel with cash for your group if that's what you want to utilize at the gathering.
So it's good time to consider if you can utilize the debit cards that they offer. We definitely encourage you to think about ways that you can do that just for simplicity's sake, and there's lots of great ways to use that. I would be curious if folks have good best practices around that with their young people. It can be a great thing for you to share on that Facebook group if you've done debit cards before and you have a good system that works for you. For people who are maybe used to using cash, we have to think about that a little bit more. But yeah, we are they are going to do exclusively debit cards. Minute Maid will not be open throughout the day. No, just for mass events. So just for dinner and mass events. So it will be open.
Barbara's asking about budgeting food. I would love to hear some veteran adult leaders come in on this comment for Barbara about budgeting what to expect for food each day. I know sometimes it depends on your hotel. Some hotels will offer breakfast, but we usually tell people don't plan for that. Some people decide that when they get there, they are going to send an adult leader to the grocery store and get snacks, so they're not having to spend money at concession stands or little food vending machines. So I would love if those veteran adult leaders could comment and help Barbara out on that. Julian, I know you've been an adult leader before and led a gathering. Any insight on that?
Yeah, so when we did it, we've done it a couple of different ways. When we used cash, we would give that to young people for breakfast and for lunch, and then we did dinner all together on a card. I have used recently with our youth lead executive team the debit cards. So at National, they got debit cards to cover all of their meals for the whole time, and they went with them, and it was super convenient. And it meant that we could go to a couple of different places that are close by. So thinking like food trucks, you're going to go to food trucks and you don't have to have an adult at every spot with swiping a card or worrying about that. So the cards are super handy for those kinds of things. But I've done it a number of ways. And I know every youth leader kind of has their own system that they create that works for them, whether you hand it out day by day or whether you have once for the entire event, or however you budget that. You can use cash or you can use cards. You can cover it in a lot of different ways. We just know that in the past, cash has been available for LCEF, and that's not going to be the case. We want to make sure people are planning ahead of time for that. I do think it's a nice thing about the cards for me, especially as a youth leader, is if I budget how much I want to put on that card and my young people use it, and there's money left over, at the end of the gathering, they can keep that card, but the card deactivates after a couple of days, and all of that money goes back to my account. So if I have young people who I budgeted $20, but they only spent $15 for a couple of those days, and there's $10 or $15 left on that card, then that money comes back to my youth group to be able to use for the next event, rather than it necessarily just ending up in somebody's pocket. So I think that's one of the concerns I hear about debit cards is like, well, but we preload it, but then there's what happens to the money that's left over after 2 days. Then it just becomes this really cool thing that they can have that's got the gathering logo on it and everything. Yeah. But all of that money then systematically comes back into your general account so that you can keep a hold of that. So good thing to keep in mind.
And I'm seeing a lot of questions about food and what we mean by comprehensive food plan, Juliana, and what they can bring. Can they bring snacks in? And I just wanted to let you guys know, we don't want to tell you answers and then them change 3 months down the road. So in upcoming lives, we will take the time to go through the comprehensive food plan. We'll talk about what you can and cannot take into Minute Maid Park and GRB. So just know that we are working on that for you guys. We just don't want to tell you until we're completely ready to release that information for you guys. But feel free to keep
great things here about how people are budgeting their food. You guys are killing it. Keep giving each other good advice there. People are still working on a couple of things. I'm just looking through this. But yeah, keep giving each other good advice on that. And I have also really appreciated how you guys have supported each other through fundraising and how many cool ideas of fundraising you guys are flipping back and forth on the group, and sharing your successes in fundraising. That's been super awesome. This can be another topic that even if it, as we continue it here on this, if people want to ask that question again in the group and give each other advice on how they manage it, that is, you don't want kids to starve. You also want to teach them to be responsible with their money and be good stewards of the money that's been fundraised for them to be able to go on this event and talk about how we do that well. And even as an adult leader, even if you're not getting debit cards for your kids, maybe it's easier for you in your church, if you're a lay leader, to preload a card just for the adult leader to be able to use for meals. So do consider that as well.
Absolutely. Well, we'll keep moving on. We've got still some more things to talk about. We only have about like 6 minutes left. So we will keep pushing through. We do want to take the time to remind you guys, if you haven't gone to the Adult Leader resource page on the website, we do have a number of resources available, including all of the Bible studies and the gathering tentative schedule. We're hoping to get more of those resources. I know a lot of people are asking for like the commissioning service. That will come in the upcoming months, and we'll get that for you guys. And we'll make an announcement on our social media when those new resources are available. We've also seen a lot of you guys making travel arrangements, so we wanted to remind you also that airport shuttle information is coming out as soon as you get your hotel assignments later this spring. Krista is working very hard on your hotel assignments. I work right next to her, so I hear all of her working on this stuff. So if you guys could just be patient for a few more weeks to help us out. We're still working with our new registration program, which means a new housing program. So we're figuring out all the little kinks to make sure that it goes as smoothly as possible for you guys. So thank you for being patient with us as we're learning our new system still. But you can look forward to those later this spring. All that information will be available and given out to our primary adult leaders.
Our two most often spoken words in the office right now are double and king. Double and
king. Yes.
Over and over again. Sorry,
yes.
Mary.
Oh, I'm sorry. Blake asked for a tease on the hotel assignments. You're going to either be in downtown Houston or the Galleria area. That's as big of a tease as I can give you right now.
Yeah, that's the thing we can tell you about hotels.
Absolutely.
And that they have rooms that are doubles and kings, which is just hearing it over and over.
It's like putting a big puzzle together. That's how we can describe the housing assignment process, a very big puzzle. Going forward, there's been a number of district events that have been uploaded on the Gathering website. If you have not taken the time to look for your district coordinator and their district event, we keep adding these, like each week a new one comes in. So make sure if you haven't seen yours yet, or maybe it wasn't there the last time you looked, that you take a look and maybe connect with your district coordinator. One thing we want to mention, because I've seen a couple of questions come in, is that sometimes district events require a separate RSVP, a separate registration, and a separate fee. Because most of the time you're getting a meal, you're getting your district shirt. So that is not included in your regular gathering registration. So please take a look at all those details for your specific event. If you don't see it listed, again, please just connect with your district coordinator. They'll be able to help you out. Also, as we talked about traveling arrangements, district coordinators are a great option if you're looking. I saw somebody on the Facebook group looking for somebody who is passing through the area. District coordinators might be a good option to connect with to help you with some of those traveling arrangements. So please take the time to connect with them. Juliana, do you want to tell them about Team Flex? We have one more volunteer opportunity still open.
Right, so Team Flex, hopefully you've heard us talk about this before. This is our flexible volunteer option where people can volunteer a few hours or a whole day, several days, the entire event. So you sort of get to determine how much of the event that you get to be there and volunteer for. You're gonna have a huge variety of different options of ways that you can serve on Team Flex. So you can apply for that. And especially we're looking for people who are in the Houston area, right? So people in the Houston area who want to be connected, who want to support the event that's in their city or in the nearby area, because there's a lot of nearby. Houston's a big city, right? We'd love to have them come, and even if they can only be there for a single day to volunteer, this is a great way for them to help contribute and help to the gathering and volunteer in that way. Or they can be someone from your congregation who's coming down, who wants to be able to spend time and support the gathering in that way. We sometimes have Team Flex that comes from outside the area, and they come in and volunteer for the entire event, and they're certainly welcome to do that. The application, I'm going to throw another date at you. Maybe I am. April 30th. I have to look at my notes, make sure I say it right. That is going to be open for those 19 and over until April 30th. So we want to encourage congregations to serve and submit their applications through the Gathering website. So we love our Team Flex. We love all our volunteers. Really, you guys make the Gathering function. And if you listen to the podcast that dropped on Tuesday, you heard more about all the different volunteer options that we have. We're just so grateful for those who come and spend the time to help make this event really fantastic for our young people. And so Team Flex is a great opportunity for that, but it is, the deadline is not super soon, but soon. So we want you to continue to be thinking about that as an option for service.
And as we kind of wrap up towards the end, if you guys want to leave any last minute questions that Julianne and I can answer, go ahead and leave them in the comments. But wanted to let you guys know we had a huge influx of registrations come into our office this week to make it by that March 1st date. Just an incredible, I wish I had a picture of our stack of mail. It was pretty impressive. So you guys really showed up. We're excited that you guys have youth and that you are excited to come to Houston this summer. It is shaping up to be just like a fantastic time. I am very excited. March 1st was a fun day in our office. We laughed a lot. We smiled a lot. It was a great day. But as a reminder for you guys, if you did not get in your registration into March 1st, you still have time. You can still register for the gathering. You can still bring a group. Just know that you're going to have an increased rate of $450 a participant. So please feel free, if you are ready to come, or if you just joined in and you're like, I'm not sure what's going on, you can still register for the gathering. And as we get past May, just a reminder that you have until May 31st to make those substitutions. We don't want you to lose your deposit. So if you can find another youth to fill in those spots, that would be great for the gathering and for your group. Just make sure you have May 31st marked on your calendars.
All right, I'm looking at a couple of last minute questions. Doesn't matter what airport we fly to. Search airports in the Facebook group. There's some great discussion about the differences between the two airports, but ultimately, no, they're airports and they will get you to Houston. And you can work either way. Does Minute Maid accept the Visa gift cards? Yes, they do. They should. Those are ones that you can use over at Minute Maid. I'm looking. I don't see any more. Again, guys, we are so grateful to you. We see all the hard work that you are putting in to get to the gathering, and it fills our hearts with a lot of joy. We are so excited and get more excited, especially on days like March 1st, where we get to see even more registrations come in. People still calling and asking how they can get to the gathering who are just starting out. If that's you, it's great. We're so excited you're coming. We will figure out how to get you there. We are thrilled. We hope that you are too, and we hope that you are encouraged by each other. We hope you're encouraged by us. Please know that we continue to pray for you and all your fundraisers, and pray for you as you prepare your group, and pray for you as you make your plans and your travel. And we just are so grateful for the ways that God is working in and through you to care for young people in your congregation.
All right, well, that wraps up our time for March. We will be connecting with you guys in the Facebook group until we meet again in the first Thursday in April. Have a great time, and we can't wait to connect with you.